What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a quick guide on how to obtain the Praxic blade inside of Destiny 2 Renegades. So we finally have the exotic mission for this. It actually is something that we unlock during the campaign, which is nice, to be fair, that we don't have to run the entire campaign and then start a separate kind of exotic thread. It's kind of baked into the campaign. Although it does make for a pretty funky campaign mission, I suppose, with a few mechanics, jumping puzzles and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get to in a moment. Of course, the Praxic blade though is a ranged weapon, so we can throw the Praxic blade and it will seek out multiple targets, then attacking recalls the blade while it's in flight. We can also hold to perform a more powerful throw, sending the blade on a straight path in the direction of your aim, and releasing the button will again recall the blade. It additionally has cormorant reversal, and while guarding, the sword converts incoming projectiles into bolts that reflect to where you're aiming, and cormorant combo, where after 3 rapid light melee attacks, we can execute a heavy melee combo. So it's a pretty fun weapon, as you can see. There are also a lot of upgrades for this. The nice thing about them though is that they're actually displayed on the weapon, so you can see all of the future potential upgrades and variations of it, and exactly how you actually earn them. So looking at some of the crystals here, they're acquired through lawless frontier jobs on Mars or through lawless frontier invasions. It's pretty self-explanatory because we can actually view them in game, which is good. There are also mod sockets, and that will adjust stats on the weapon. Those can be earned through a variety of activities, and rank paths on the Tharsis Outpost factions. On top of that though, the power cores will change the behaviour more significantly. Some of them will be for sale in the Tharsis Cantina. And lastly, what are essentially the catalysts for the weapon, which are acquired between reruns of the exotic mission and the dungeons. So obviously as we discover those, I'll try and cover them more. The good thing, like we said, is that the sources are actually displayed on the weapon, which is certainly helpful. In terms of actually acquiring this thing though, as you're running through the campaign for Renegades, you'll eventually get to a mission called Fire and Ice. Now, there are a lot of kind of jumping components and a bit of a maze, I suppose, to actually get through this. We'll start out at Firebase Imperator, so basically head in the direction of enemies and kill stuff. Ultimately though, we'll get to a room with a bunch of Taken here. We keep killing them, and eventually a Taken boss called the Portal Keeper will spawn. And when that one's killed, we can head through the portal into the main section of the exotic mission. To get through this first room, there are a series of blights that you can see, and there's a kind of big pillar in the middle of the room. If you jump halfway up that pillar, there'll actually be a hole that will allow us to drop down. From there, kind of follow the path that's obvious in front of us, I suppose. There will be a bit of trial and error here, but it will lead us to a wall with boopers on it. So we'll have to crawl along the ledge of the wall, avoiding the booping section. Once you get to the end, there's actually a rock floating out that you can jump over to. It may be easiest to jump over to that. And then you'll see that there's another elevation above that initial ledge with a new ledge that we have to walk across. And you'll see there are once again Taken boopers that will knock us off. So be careful. In this section, if you walk all the way to the top, the floor will actually dissolve and let you walk through another kind of maze section. Totally ignore that, as to the right-hand side, there's another passageway that we can actually take, which is the actual direction we need to head in. So take that passageway and we'll get to an area that looks like this. Again, there will be moving parts of geometry that'll kind of pop up and you'll have to jump over them. When we get to the end of that section, there'll be a big pit that you can actually jump into. However, instead of doing that, jump above and there'll be some ledges that you can grab onto, and then follow the direction on screen. You can see a passageway that leads us all the way to the end. After navigating through here, there's a tricky section, again with dissolving floors and different routes that you have to take. So if you initially run forward, there will actually be gates that come up in front of us while the floors are dissolving, so it's pretty easy to end up falling off the map here. If you take the pathway to the right-hand side, however, this is at least how I did it on this first run. Head forward through the grating, and there'll be an opening in that grating on the left-hand side. That's the route you actually need to take. Obviously, trying to remain on solid ground. After that, you'll notice a pathway of jumpable platforms going up the wall. So take that route, and there'll be these sort of hanging pieces of masonry, I guess. Once you're at the top, follow the pathway that you can see forward. Then at the end, on the right-hand side, slightly below us, there's a lit-up kind of doorway. If we jump through there, we'll go down a ramp and again onto a jumping section with dissolving platforms. So basically, follow the most obvious route through this. There will be some trial and error again. It's pretty much inevitable when you've got a mission, which is essentially a maze. So remain patient, Guardian. If you're having any trouble with this bit, it's somewhat forgiving in that we can continually respawn here, so that's nice. When you're in this particular open section though, if you climb these rocks on the left-hand side, then go into the building, you can see there's a bit of a doorway, and again some more kind of hanging platforms. If we cross these and get to the other side, eventually there's a node that we can interact with, which will again open a portal and actually put us into a combat encounter. This area of the mission looks really, really cool, to be fair to Bungie. Easily one of the best pieces of content we've actually had in Year of Prophecy, if you ask me. But for this combat encounter, you'll see that there are both light and dark kind of glowing orbs up in the air. And there'll be Cabal enemies that spawn in, which are referred to as cleaved enemies. When we kill these, they'll drop orbs on the ground that are either light or dark, and we have to throw those orbs at the corresponding nodes that are floating up in the air. But essentially, we have to achieve balance here, so every time you throw one and one of the orbs up in the air, it will actually increase the size of the orb. So if you throw one white one at a white orb, it will get bigger. And to maintain balance, that means you have to throw another white one, but at a different white orb so that it's the same size as the other one. That's basically the process that we're going through. And there is a way to control whether we get light or dark orbs actually dropped on the ground. So you'll notice these cleaved enemies are both normal Cabal and taken Cabal enemies. So if you kill two of them which are the same in a row, it will spawn light orbs. So if you kill two normal Cabal or two taken Cabal, you'll get light orbs dropped on the ground. But if you kill one of each, it will spawn the taken orbs. And that's how we can actually get the orbs on the ground that we need in order to match all of the floating kind of spheres in the sky, if that makes sense. That's the best explanation I can actually give for this. This first combat encounter basically requires us to get all of them to the maximum size, but just remember to do it sequentially. Every time you increase the size of a white or black orb, you'll need to repeat that to do the same to the orb on the other side that matches. So 2 black orbs both need to be the same size, for instance. And once you've maxed each of them out, you'll basically complete the mechanics part of the encounter. Then you just need to clear your way through the enemies until the encounter is complete. Following this, we'll have to head back through the same portal that we actually entered this room through, and then we'll go into a boss version of what is essentially the same encounter. So the first 4 chunks of the boss's health can actually be taken down. He will spawn Cabal shields with the normal kind of shield node that is destructible. So just destroy the node and get the boss all the way down to 1/4 of its health, and then we'll be required to repeat the same mechanics with the taken or light orbs. So on our run, we had 2 taken orbs up in the air, and that just means that we need a load of taken orbs to throw at them. In this room though, you will actually have to control what types of enemies spawn out of the door in terms of whether they're Cabal or taken variants. So there's a node that'll be on a platform up in the sky. Every time you activate that node, it will change the enemy type that actually spawns in. So if you need light orbs, for instance, you just need to kill 2 of the same types of cleaver enemy, for instance 2 Cabal. But if you need 2 taken orbs, it may be that you have to use that node on the platform to actually change whether you're getting light or darkness enemies in order to spawn in taken enemies. And again, you'll need to kill 1 of each, so it could be 1 normal Cabal followed by 1 taken Cabal, and that will drop the taken orbs, or it could be the other way around. A little bit tricky at first, but actually a lot more simplistic than it first appears. Only other thing in this room is obviously surviving the boss, who absolutely beams you. I imagine a lot of people will be running through this campaign solo, so this particular mission may require a little bit of work. We did this on the legendary campaign, so theoretically it will be easier on the normal campaign. But after you've done this, you're able to finish the boss off, basically. Then you clear out the remaining enemies in the room, and it will teleport us to Ornor's room with the lightsaber in it, and we get loot, including the lightsaber. So that's the initial run of the Fire and Ice mission. The subsequent upgrades for the Praxic blade are available via various different vendors and activities as indicated on the sword itself, but there will additionally be a quest given to us after this point in time, which is called the Praxic's Path. So we'll need to speak to Ornor to pick that up, and then there are a handful of steps that ultimately will give us one of the initial upgrades for the weapon, but as we said, there are various different upgrades that we'll ultimately have to get. So there we go, that's the initial unlock for the Praxic blade. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts on the exotic mission. I thought it was pretty fun. If you hate jumping puzzles, then that might put you off a little bit. You'll have to give me your impressions below, but if you found the video helpful, a rating really does help us out on the channel. Be sure as well to subscribe for more Destiny content. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.